Hey everyone, what's up? Ivo Remo McLean for live once again, and I'm back for more Kurt Russell movie reviews. And today I'm also gonna review a movie for Steven Seagal. And today I'm gonna talk about this 1996 Executive Decision, which was released on March 15. And yeah, it stars Kurt Russell and of course stars Steven Seagal. But I bought this movie for Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell collection. And yeah, one of my problems is that time, Indonesia, Germany, and Japan, they actually released Steven Seagal on VHS tape. And in this cover, Steven Seagal's face supposed to be on this cover, but it's actually a theatrical poster. But like I said, that time Steven Seagal, he actually was very popular. And Indonesia, Germany, and Japan, they actually put his face, this cover so that it will attract more viewers. And I remember that time, on TV, they actually, Steven Seagal movies were non-stop on rerun from Hard to Kill to Executive Wounds. And I know that Above the Law was his first film, but I think they actually ignored that movie and they actually went from Hard to Kill, which were more biggest hits than Above the Law, and they actually started rerunning those movies. And one of those movies was a rerun with this movie, Executive Decision, and his face was on this cover to attract more viewers, because I thought Steven Seagal was the time the star of this film. And I wasn't sure because Kurt Russell, in this face is barely you can recognize it's Kurt Russell. But yeah, now Executive Decision, it's supposed to be an excitement action thriller. At that time, they thought it's gonna be one of the greatest movies of all time. Sadly, they actually were wrong. Directed was by Stuart Baird. This was actually his first movie. And I reviewed his second movie he directed, U.S. Marshals. I love that movie to death. This movie I considered a disappointment and a time waster. A letdown and disappointment and a time waster. It's 2 hours, way too long, it's overlong, and by time to time the movie is boring. I don't hated it. I liked parts and bits and pieces of the film, but that's it. It's my least favorite Kurt Russell film, and it's definitely not one of my favorite action films at all. And I'll actually go with the nitpicks that I have later with the film. And also, so I'm just gonna start with the plot, because otherwise I'm gonna talk way too long about this film. So a group of commandos, special forces led by Lieutenant Colonel Austin Travis, played by Steven Seagal, that actually go to this Italy and Chechnya, and they go the hunt for this nerve gas canister DS5, which is the hands of the terrorists. So they try to recapture and to get back that nerve gas canister, but they actually came too late. They kill all the bad guys, all the terrorists, but they don't find the canister. 3 months later, the leader of extremist organization Abu El Sayed Jafar has been arrested and captured by Americans, and he's been sent to American prison, which he should serve to life, sentenced to life. But a plane took off from Athens to Washington D.C., and a group of terrorists, which their leader is actually Nagi Hassan. He's a lieutenant. He's the leader of the extremist organization. He and his men go and kidnap, hijack the airplane, Oceanic Airlines flight 343, which is a Boeing 747, and on the board, there's actually a sleeper terrorist, which he's a bomb triggerman. Yes, there's a bomb on an airplane, and in the bomb there's actually a nerve gas DS5 that was stolen by terrorists. It's actually there, and yeah, it's actually stolen. It's actually there. Now, Dr. Grant, he's an opera. He's actually been called, he's actually been called in the team of commandos who are actually recruiting a team which they're gonna fly with the stealth under the radar, under the plane, and they're gonna go to the hatch, open the hatch, and they're gonna go with the team, which they actually going to disarm the bomb, and they're gonna take over the plane back. So that they go in this stealth, they fly this stealth, and Dr. Grant is accompanied by Colonel what was his name? Austin Travis. Steve Austin. I have Steve Austin, my Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin Travis, he's been accompanied by Austin Travis. And, when he shows up, his team says, because he's in tuxedo, his man says, who's this, 007? And that's of course, Captain Carlos Red Lopez says, who's this, 007? Because he's in tuxedo. He's actually in the tuxedo, and they actually, so they go with the stealth, and of course, Colonel Austin blames Dr. Grant that they sent in the wild goose chase, and Dr. Grant said my infos were correct, it's just you guys were late, which is right. They were late, So they go under the airplane, Oceanic Airlines flight 343. They open the hatch. All the teams they go in aboard, but because there's no time and there's less space, the stealth blows to pieces, and of course Dr. Grant goes up, in order to help their bomb specialist, played by Joe Morton. Yes, Joe Morton from Terminator 2 Speed Test. In this movie, he plays Cappy, a bomb. He plays Cappy, bomb specialist, and he's unconscious. He knocks himself down during the airplane, sequence, and Travis says, you're actually not going to make it. But you are, he closed the hatch, the stealth blows to pieces, and actually that really was kinda, disappointment in my opinion, because Seagal gets killed through half of the film, and that was a kind of disappointment in my opinion. And Jim and John Thomas wrote the screenplay, and who gave us Predator 1 and 2, and I thought Predator 2 is better than this movie. And they actually thought this movie is gonna be a huge success. The time it wasn't. So terrorists, they hijacked this plane, and on the plane there's actually a triggerman, a bomb triggerman, a sleeper terrorist. While now Dr. Grant, he's not the team leader. It's actually now the second in command is now Captain Red Lopez. He's the one, in second in command. And and also engineer played by Oliver Platt is actually on the board. Now they find the bomb. They try to disarm the bomb. They find out there's a sleeper who controls the bomb with a remote control. While Cappy and engineer they try to disarm the bomb, they find it's a decoy. In meantime, Dr. Grant has been spotted by flight attendant Jean, but she doesn't tell anyone. And also one of the co-pilots, finds out that there are commandos in it, but he doesn't rat them out. So, well, the team, they try to find, the sleeper. They try to find, Hassan, because they don't know how he looks like, Hassan. Also, Mary Ellen Trainor is in this movie as Nancy, one of the flight attendants, and she gets killed. I mean, she was a Little Weapon 1 till 4. She was in Die Hard as Gail Wallace, one of my all-time favorite action movies ever. And I know she wasn't in that movie, Dark of the Vengeance, but she was in the first movie. And they go and kill her off. Terrorist grabs her and smacks her head down. I mean, what the fuck? She gets killed for no reason. And yeah, she gets killed for no reason. And and that kind of sucks in my opinion. Now Now Dr. Grant calls Jean, to the phone and asks her if she will find help to find them, the Triggerman, the sleeper, and she goes, tries to find them. She also hides the flight attendant manifesto because Air Marshal is signing it, and of course Nagi Hassan doesn't suspect anything. He says that is pretty stupid. He doesn't find the manifesto or the passengers because there's 400 passengers on this airplane. It's impossible they're gonna find it. And by the way, the Pentagon, the US government doesn't know if the team was successful because the stealth was exploded to pieces. Just blow up, and they don't know if they actually, they make it. So they give them 4 hours until they're gonna Nagi Hassan is gonna be with the airplane in their US soil in the space, and Nagi Hassan demands that they actually free their leader Abu Jafar, and Abu says Jafar. They actually do that, but Nagi Hassan is playing right in the beast, right the infernal. He goes with the airplane and he flies them right into Washington. It's gonna hit them as a target. He's gonna use this airplane as a missile, and Kurt Russell, who David Grant, he's actually really bossy move. He goes with the silencer, with the gun, and behind the jeep. He tries to find the sleeper, but it's a wrong guy, And he tries over the passengers, and he sees this guy, he uses his silencer, shoots the guy. It was actually Demo tries to trigger the bomb while Cappy, like I said, Cappy, they should find the decoy. They actually use strawberry between those two cables, and of course, they actually disarm the bomb while Demo tried to blow the airplane. That didn't work. One of those commandos goes and shoots them, and of course, Hassan, he gets shot by Air Marshal, which I like that. Air Marshal goes and shoots him, but Air Marshal gets shot by himself, by the other terrorists. John Leguizamo character gets then killed on the end, and of course, Kurt Russell, he goes, and and of course Dr. Grant and Nagi Hassan meet each other face to face on the airplane, and of course Grant says, Dr. Grant says it's over, so send the bomb, they found the bomb, and Hassan says, who are you? And the Kurt Russell responds, nobody. He actually played nobody in Furious 7, and The Fate of the Furious. He played in that movie, and I think he had a small scene in F9. I don't remember. Yeah, he had flashbacks F9. He was in there, but yeah, he says nobody, and of course Hassan says you didn't prevent anything. Turns around, shoots the pilots, kills both of them, and John Leguizamo goes and shoots him, kills him. And Kurt Russell runs, grabs the cockpit, tries to fly, and he tries to fly, and he in everything that Kurt Russell, because Kurt Russell is actually a pilot, just like Tom Cruise, he is a real pilot. Even though his character was a solo pilot, he was just a beginner. But I read that everything that Kurt Russell did in this movie when he was playing the airplane, because that was for real. Everything that he was playing he was flying the airplane, like I said, it was for real done, and yeah, it was done for real, and everything he did, did correctly. I read that pilots, they responded, it was correctly. Everything he did was correctly, except when he landed kind of the land, the airplane's supposed to stop, but he keep rolling, so that kind of was unrealistic. But the rest, everything that he did in the movie, was correctly done. It was really done correctly. I really did that, so that was awesome. When Gene shows up and tries to help, Grant, that he flies, and actually I like that pieces. I like when Kurt Russell, he tries to plant the bomb, misses the guy, which he would hit him, but he misses the guy. And then he uses the plane, saves everyone. He's a hero, saves everyone, which I really like that. I like that piece and pieces of the film. So yes, I like that. I like that bits and pieces of him. When he goes and plays, he flies the plane. Even if it was his solo and he can't turn around, he misses the airport. That's one of the guys who was also the fireman, who was also Demolition Man, the open scene. And yeah, so he goes, with the airplane, lands the airplane, saves everyone. And he saves the plane, asks Jean if she will go with him a couple of coffee, and asks her, are you a hockey fan? No, I like baseball. Halle Berry was married to a baseball player that time. Now, Halle Berry did not want to be in this movie, but because she actually was in the last Boy Scout, she had a small scene there. So Halle Berry was in this movie, and she actually was offered $1 million, and she accepted the role only because of the money. Yeah, she did this movie only because of the money. Behind the scenes, this was actually I think was a really difficult filming the scenes. John Leguizamo and Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell, they actually did not get along. I don't know if Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal got along. I really don't know that. They both were asked by Stallone if they would be in, if both of them, they actually would be in the Expendables. They both turned down. Kurt Russell didn't want to look back in the past. Steven Seagal did not got along with the producer. I think was the producer. I don't remember that guy. He didn't get along with that producer. He said no. But yeah, John Leguizamo and Steven Seagal, they did not get along. So they actually were rehearsing this scene, and John Leguizamo plays, Steven Seagal's senior officer in the senior officer in command, and they were just only rehearsing. And Steven Seagal walks on the set and says, "I'm in charge in here. Everything I say is law." And John Leguizamo thought it was a joke. He was like, he was like laughing, at him. It was just, he thought it was a fucking joke. And Steven Seagal grabbed John Leguizamo, throws at the fucking brick, elbows him, with Taekwondo, elbows him, and he shoves him in the wall, I mean, what the fuck? And yes, John Leguizamo hates this guy since this day, but the guy, he went and he knocks him down. I mean, fuck, why? I mean, he wanted to say that he's a fat, and John Leguizamo wanted to tell him that he's a fat ass, and then he runs like a girl, but he couldn't do that. He couldn't even talk because he elbowed him in the fucking neck. I mean, why the fuck was that necessary, Seagal? I mean, even the show when he was in the talk show, I think, that people said that Steven Seagal was the worst host, and I don't know, his behavior and attitude was just really badly for the film. Now, one of the problems in the film was also, the death scene of Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal argued with the producer and argued with the director because it was scripted, and he didn't want to do that because he was afraid that will be very, very, very disappointed fans and angry at the fans, which he was true. He was correct. I was disappointed that he goes and that he actually is killed, from the half of the movie. I didn't really like that. But many of his movies, he's not now allowed to be killed. I mean, Van Damme was killed so many times, but Seagal can do that. He can be killed but he argued for with the producers and the director of this movie. He caused, for I think for 4 days, he actually says Seagal caused the filming delays. Until then, he returned to the set and decided to film the scene. So they actually had to write a different death scene for Seagal's character. But he caused, the four of the delays he actually caused, this movie. So yeah, that actually was the problems. Still Seagal, Jolly Guzman didn't get along. Another scene was with Kurt Russell and Jolly Guzman, who Jolly Guzman said the character. I forgot the line. I don't care about the line. He said a line that I argued with Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell and Jolly Guzman got in a fight, and they just didn't get along. It triggered the fight with those improvised lines from Jolly Guzman. It's just, it was just. I think the movie had tons of problems. Now, Jim and John Thomas wrote this movie, who wrote the story Predator 1 and 2, but they thought it's gonna be biggest hit. I don't think so. I thought, to me, U.S. Marshal's much better movie that was directed by Stuart Beard. That was his second movie. I think he directed then Star Trek Nemesis. That was the third and last movie he did. But U.S. Marshals, I enjoyed. I mean, this movie is a disappointment in my opinion. Like I said, I grabbed this movie for Stan Seagal and Kurt Russell collection. And I like Kurt Russell's performance. I mean, yeah, it has a really good cast, Kurt Russell did a really good job. Stan Seagal, I liked it that in the open scene that he goes, he uses the knife that was actually under siege, he used that weapon blade. He actually used Gerber Mark's second dagger. It was the same weapon, the same knife that Seagal used in Under Siege. In open scene, he goes and stabs, the guy in the neck. 3 guys, he stabbed them, and he's very quickly, he's fast, stabs them. And of course, he goes with the silencer, with the, I think it was Hancock machine gun, he goes with the silencer, shoots 4 terrorists. So, Stan Seagal in open scene still kills 7 bad guys, 7 terrorists, so that's still a good value in the film. That's my favorite scene. My favorite scene will be Kurt Russell playing the airplane, flying the airplane. That was the really good scene. But yes, Kurt Russell and Stan Seagal, he's also not in the open credits in the film. I don't know why not. But yeah, Stan Seagal still did a good job. But Kurt Russell, he was a hero of the film. But yeah, the cast, we have Oliver Platt, Mary Ellen Trainor, she was in Die Hard, Lethal Weapon 1 through 4, and she was Gail Wallace, Die Hard. She gets killed in this movie by a terrorist. That kind of sucks. I still, Halle Berry, she was in this movie. I enjoy her more in John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. The associate plays the terrorist. He did a good job. J.T. Walsh is also senator, and he's been killed by Hassan, when he tried to negotiate with the president, but he gets shot by Hassan. That's a message to the U.S. Richard Reichel, I think it was Richard Reichel, he was in many of the films. He played Air Marshal. Yes, Air Marshal survived, thank God, because I liked him. He didn't have that much scene, but I liked him. He saved Kurt Russell's life, which I love that, and yeah, Sean Taub, he was one of the terrorists for Broken Arrow. And yes, I actually now changed my posters, and I took Roadhouse out, and I put Demolition Man in it, and I put Broken Arrow in it. Haven't seen Broken Arrow for ages, but I love Broken Arrow to death. It's one of my favorite action movies ever. And yeah, and of course, Sean Taub, who plays, Max, when Samantha Matthews shows up and she attacks the guy, and says, "We didn't lose. I'm Max," and I love it. The guy says, "I thought you thought I was just a nerd, Ron. I was a Navy SEAL lady. You should see what I do with the thumb." And she shows that hammer in the face. No, that's other terrorist. Sean Taub, he's one of the terrorists in this movie who plays Max in Broken Arrow. And of course, Andreas Katsoulas, he also was in The Fugitive from Harrison Ford. Yes, he was in The Fugitive from Harrison Ford. He played the one-armed man. I think it was Frederick Sykes. He played, in The Fugitive, because I think that also the producers were also The Fugitive, which Adam Davis directed the film. Joe Morton and Oliver Platt, they both did great as the Bob. Joe Morton, he played a captain of the team, on the SWAT team in Speed. In this movie, he played a bomb specialist. And Joe Morton performed perfectly as the scenes in Airplane when he's actually duct taped. I think for 46 days he performed, he had to do those scenes and learn those lines. He did a really great job. Joe Morton, he was in Terminator 2 Speed in this movie back in the 90s. I do like, some scenes in the airplanes, their passengers in the movie. I do like that. Still, I think that, in my opinion, Death Force is a more brutal movie than this movie, more realistic. But like I said, I like Kurt Russell, I like Kurt Russell, just this is my least favorite movie of his, It's just, if I want to watch movies, I'll actually rather watch Broken Arrow, Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, and even Under Siege is better movie in my opinion. And Broken Arrow, came out the same year as Executive Decision, and I thought Broken Arrow has better action, better pace. Because this movie, from time to time, when I came out in 2 hours, I really got frustrated and exhausted. Now, it has a great cast. I have to say it has a great cast. The film, just the pacing, the screenwriting, the story, it's overlong. It takes way too long. It's over 2 hours long. And it isn't so much excitement. Even the action sequences doesn't make anything for it. Except since Seagal helps a little out. They actually thought it's going to be a hit. It wasn't. Now, this was budget $55 million. Broken Arrow was budget $50 million. It earned more money than this movie. Even Under Siege made earn more money, was better than this movie. So budget for this movie cost $55 million. Opening weekend US and Canada was $12 million. It grossed in US and Canada $56 million. But worldwide made $121 million. So it did make more money than the budget cost them. But I don't know, it just wasn't my cup of tea of the film. If I have to go from 1 to 5 stars, I'll give 1.5 stars for Kurt Russell's performance, but that's it, because most of the movie was boring and it was overlong. It was like 2 hours, 12 minutes, 2 hours, 13 minutes. I would say that, in my opinion, Die Hard is much better, exciting movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Even Die Hard Vengeance is shorter than this movie, is better pacing. This movie has really sluggish, slow pacing. And yeah, it just has slow pacing. The action sequences are just terrible. I would rather watch Cliffhanger. I would rather watch Broken Arrow. Those two are much better movies, in my opinion. Now, this is actually the back. It's rated there, but it's just not one of my favorite Steven Seagal movies. Not one of my favorite Kurt Russell or Steven Seagal movies, both of them. It's just not. This will be my least favorite movie. I have not seen this movie for like 7 years. But still a huge time waster and disappointment, in my opinion. I really don't have much to say about the film. High flying excitement, fasten your seatbelt. I mean, Con Air was much better, fast-paced movie, and some asshole gave me a dislike. But yeah, excellent decision. I only have this for Kurt Russell. uh, collection, and of course for Stan Seagal, because it's also for Stan Seagal. Uh, but yeah, it's just not one of my favorite movies that they did. It's 2 hours over long. But Kurt Russell, I like him in this movie. So Kurt Russell, in my opinion, saves the film. He goes and saves the film when he asks, Gino in the end, he should go and couple of coffee with him, and he asks her, "Are you a fan of hockey?" She says, "No, I like baseball," and yeah, and of course, she was married to some baseball player, and she also was offered $1 million, so she accept the role. But that's mostly was for the film. It's kind of 2 hours over long. Yeah, the music score was by Jerry Goldsmith. He did for Rambo films. But yeah, it just was produced was by Joel Silver. He was produced on Roadhouse and Demolition Man. I think he was also producer on Little Weapon films. I think he was producer on The Last Boy Scout. I'm not sure. Now this is for Warner Brothers. This movie, but still, yeah. So that's my movie review on Kurt Russell Executive Decision 1996. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy my review. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Leave me comment down below what you think about the film. So take care, and I'm out. Peace. Bye bye.